Howdy everyone, welcome back to the Sheepdog Conservation Gear Corner. Today I'm picking back up with the second and final part of my Black Eagle arrow build for 2023. To get started, you should go watch part 1 if you haven't already so that you're up to speed, because today I will catch you up on how I went ahead and fletched these arrows so that I can practice with them, and then we will also cover the tinkering involved and results that I've had with them throughout the last month or two of practice. And then we will take a look at the Black Eagle F.O.C.O.S outsert system and how it can allow you to adjust wobbly broadheads a little bit straighter. If you guys remember, in the first part we measured the stiff and weak points of each arrow with the ram spine tester and indexed the nocks to match. I also marked the stiff here with the S, so that is where I have the jig set up to place the cock vein. So I want the vein right on this stiff line, and in order to do that, I think it's because the micro diameter shafts, I mark it and then I have to rotate the nock a little bit. So if you can see, if I didn't do that, the fletch would be like over here when I want it right here down the middle. So hopefully it's hard to see that close up, so I wanted to show you guys that. Some other things to note before I start gluing is that I have already wiped down the arrow wrap and the fletches that I'm going to use with alcohol, and it's dried by now. And then more importantly, if you're using micro diameter shafts and the left helical Bitzenberger jigs, it's really hard to get the full length clamps down tight enough to make full contact with short fletches. So I had to cut this off and do a lot of adjusting on this back side in order to make sure that I'm getting good contact all the way down with the fletch. Alrighty guys, we are going to start gluing. So I personally don't do dabs on here, I just do a straight line. I try to do it pretty thin, that way I can just go back and kind of spread it around, and then if it's thick too, the excess just kind of gets wiped into the spots that were missing it. So that's it. Hopefully, I don't know if it picks up the glue, but that is that. Put the magnet on, get it back to where it's hidden. Press it down. I keep hand pressure for like 10 or 15 seconds. Then I let it sit for 20 or 30 more. And if there's much glue, I wipe it, but the last thing I'm gonna do actually is glue the tips on a little bit. Uh-oh. Coming out fast. Okay, so the tips are glued down. The last thing not to forget is if you rotated your nock to put it back like I did. So you'll see the cock vein is straight in line with the nock, how it sits on the string. So I actually went ahead and over the last month I've been shooting it a lot with the stiff side up and the weak side up. And once I did flip it to the weak side and stepped back to like 50 to 80 yards, I started getting a lot tighter groups this way versus this way. So that's what I'm going to go with this year. After doing that, I heard it on a podcast also of Josh Jones recommending that. So from there, I went ahead and felt pretty good about putting broadheads on, and after doing that I got the same results. I was getting really good bullseyes at 80 yards, which actually was something I could never do with the day 6s. So it was pretty surprising and impressive that the lighter arrows were actually getting more forgiving broadhead flight. I was not expecting that, but since I've already confirmed good broadhead flight, the last part of this video where we adjust the focus systems. Really, it might be kind of an unnecessary or redundant step, but I still want to display their versatility on video for people that would like to see how it works before buying. Okay guys, so I've been playing around with each arrow outsert combo and picked up on a few things so far. So first you'll see that I now have all three rollers spread out as far as they can be to get better end-to-end readings on my arrows. Second, after doing a few broadheads, I was starting to realize that the readings were giving me over like 10,000ths of wobble, and that was actually human error. After I noticed that error, I decided that I'd mainly be adjusting the collar alignments back here anyways. So I started measuring off the collars and it was giving me more consistent readings. However, I was still getting about like 1, 2, or 3 thousandths. That was obviously my human error, as I kind of like lift off my fingers while resetting them. So with that in mind, I'll first show you the best results that I was able to get with my top 3 arrows. Hopefully I can show you guys how good these last 2 were, because they were definitely under 1. Alrighty, here we go. Alrighty, and I believe this was my best one. I recommend, for keeping track, not only numbering your arrows, but if you're doing this kind of stuff, writing it all down. Alrighty, here we go. Yeah, this is the best one. I don't even think it really moves. After like the 3rd or 4th time around, it got 1,000th. So I think that one is like gonna be the one I shoot at a critter. Okay, so hopefully those 3 are a good example of what you can expect to get with the Black Eagle X Impacts and Focus system, as well as with using the extra effort you can expect to get down to that level of tightness, I think. Before we move on to finalizing those arrows in their final positions, I'm going to show you guys the readings on a couple of the worst ones, and one that I've shot like 300 times already, and a couple of those definitely ended up in the bank. So we'll start with that one. This is the one I just actually this evening forgot to reset my sight. So this one I get between like 3 and 5 thousandths. Alrighty. This one, when we do the review, I'll shoot this field point, because it gets like 7 thousandths. And that's the best I can get. It's the worst arrow I have. Actually, as you can see, it was there. I moved it to here, and it's really more like 5 thousandths now. So there you have it. They don't all get super tight, but you can always expect to take a couple thousandths of wobble out. Now that we've removed all the wobbles that we can from the focus collars, I decided that I'm going to keep it old school and verify by eyeball that each of my selected arrows match up true with the Valkyrie Blood Eagle. Once verified true, I plan to lightly glue on the collars back to their marked orientation, and since I shoot left helical, I'm also going to hot melt my broadheads to the outserts. So this is that number 1 arrow that was basically showing no wobble on the outsert. I'm hoping I got that pretty well lined up, if you can tell. It's just following that, it's not really even straying from the line. That's as true as it gets right there on that one. So that one's getting glued up just like that. So this one here is number 5. So I got this one to go from about 4 or 5 thousandths down to 2 or 3. And this is the one that I screwed on early and was getting 80-yard bullseyes with. And that would be at 5 thousandths of wobble. I'd say that is still acceptable, seeing as the way it was shooting in the field. Now we'll put one on the worst broadhead. As you can see, it doesn't really like to screw in there. So I think this one was 7 thousandths. Still hard to pick up with the vents and everything, but there you go. Remember this one, number 11. Okie dokie, that is going to wrap this one up, guys, because after another range day or two, these bad boys will be ready to hunt. I know a lot of these steps might have seemed redundant, but at the end of the day, all the time in the lab here usually translates to less headaches in the field down the road. So if you guys have any more questions, please leave them below. I'd love to get them answered. And the plan is to get another video out comparing these Black Eagle X impacts to my previous day 6 arrows. However, since this video had some delays, you'll probably have to look for that video to be published after the 2023 season ends for me in November. Before season gets here, however, I will upload a brief video on all the other changes that I've made to my bow besides the arrows, so keep an eye out for that one soon, guys, and thanks for watching.